This is Suzanne Wagner. Thank you for joining me. We are doing the numerology and the astrology for August 29th, 2020. If you add all those numbers together, you get the number 23. And if you add the 2 and the 3 together, you get the number 5. The number 5 is about all things physical, all things in the world, all the material plane. The trees and the birds and the bees and the buildings and your physical body and your health and your well-being. It represents everything that is keeping us on this planet related to having a physical body and having to navigate the twists and turns and the challenges of the physical world. So, the number 5 today reminds us that we need to keep both feet firmly on the ground and know that stability sometimes requires agility and spontaneous movement. We are living in a world of earthquakes and volcanoes going off, metaphorically and really. So knowing how to move constructively when all hell starts breaking loose is going to be critical to survival. You do not stay put in an earthquake if the house is going to come down on your head. You learn to listen and move when a volcano warns you that it is going to erupt. If you are paying attention and truly listening, you would move, prepare, and make the necessary changes. Change is what the number 5 is all about. The physical body is always the last thing to adjust to the changing environment. It can be stubborn and resistant to change, but survival in this dimension requires you be able to quickly adjust to a massively changing world. Without that ability, nothing can survive and nothing can thrive. It is those that accept what is happening and allow themselves to adapt that become essential in the new energy being manifested. Then you learn new ways to help you to discover how much more there is to explore in this world. Our personal absolutes are simply barriers to progress. Our personal absolutes were designed to protect us from harm. But those same personal absolutes at certain points must be worked through and released when enough time and maturity show us a doorway through to other possibilities. Okay, the astrology for today. We're still dealing with smoke here. The moon is in Capricorn all day, making things a bit heavy and melancholic. It feels as if some things will never end, but we are in the death throes of all the old and dated Capricorn energy. The 3 planets, Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter in Capricorn, have been hanging out for years in a frozen, unmoving, and intending to pull us backwards position. But I have the greatest hope because the planets are always in motion and nothing ever stays the same. 2 of these planets, Jupiter and Saturn, will go into Aquarius on December 15th and 17th, respectively. And whether anyone likes it or not, we will shift into a more balanced way forward as a country. The forward progress of Aquarius is part of our reality, and this is a moment when America begins to grow up as a country. That means taking a more honest look at what is really happening in this world, owning to the suffering we have caused in our historic past, and figuring out how to make amends and do it differently. All of us will be making adjustments to accommodate those massive trends and shifts. Nothing will be able to be pulled backwards after the conjunction between those 2 planets, Saturn and Jupiter, on December 21st. That particular conjunction is probably one of the most important conjunctions of this whole year. The moon is in Aquarius this evening, and as you are prepping for sleep, reminding you that the direction is forward, know that progress is the name of the game for the next decade plus, because we are given a chance to make subtle adjustments now, so we do not have such a shock to our system later. Venus is approaching in opposition to Pluto, and know that people are scared, reactive, and highly suspicious. Remember that scared dogs bite. Those manipulating these situations want you to feel insecure and fearful. They want your emotions to be a tool for chaos and anarchy. Do not let them use you that way. You seek the truth. and truth is being seen in a very different way. Mercury trines Jupiter, and while it wants to have optimism and faith, there are many that do not have hope or trust in the ability of the authorities to protect the people. While there are very good people in law enforcement, I hope department heads make some new ironclad rules for their workers going forward. If not, more deaths will happen and more violence will erupt. My quote for today. Our personal absolutes are simply barriers to progress. Our personal absolutes were designed to protect us from harm. But those same personal absolutes at certain points must be worked through and released when enough time and maturity show us a doorway through to the other possibilities. So my blog for today, I just wanted to kind of talk about this a little bit. So, you know, in the Star Trek Next Generation, with the Borg, resistance is futile, right? So there's this place that, you know, when we're scared, we contract and we shut down and we don't move. And we create rules and we create boundaries. And we're like, these are the boundaries under which you can have a relationship with me. But there are also boundaries about, you know, stupid things like, oh, I don't get massages. I love that one. I'm like, what is wrong with you? You don't get massages. I'm like, touch me, touch me, touch me. Like, you know, I mean, my body is like one of those bodies that is just like, I need somebody to work out the knots, right? So I always look highly suspicious at somebody when they say they don't get massages. And I'm always like, what is going on inside of you that you're hiding from, that literally you're scared to death for somebody to touch you because it'll pop up? You know, because when somebody touches your body, what is buried or what is hidden will surface, right? So that's an easy example, but it's amazing how people have these things like, oh, I don't paint, or I don't run, or I don't like piano, or I don't, you know, like they make all these funny assumptions like, I'm this and I'm not that, and I'm not going to do that, and I don't like to go to the ballet, and you know, and it's just hysterical to me, like these absolutes that people make, because all it does is limit you. I mean, it's like it makes you more boring in this game. I mean, I'm more interested in hanging out with people that are interested in trying things and trying some new things and seeing what's out there, and if you don't like it, great, we'll laugh about it and say, remember when we did that and that was crazy, like what were we thinking? But learning to say yes to the universe and putting some of those boundaries aside, but doing it from a conscious, safe, and constructive place is essential. Because we're really in a world where, you know, everything's sort of bizarre. And so you do need to make choices consciously. You need to make sure you're safe, and you need to be constructive in your approach. I don't want you to willy-nilly just go, sure, let's go bungee jumping. I mean, like, number one, is the bungee attached? Number is the safety record of this place? Number three, what is it that you're learning from that process? You know, what part of you wants to commit metaphorical suicide by jumping off a cliff or whatever, and have you confront fear? So, you know, it's important to kind of know why you're doing something and what the intention is, and that helps direct the chaotic energy of life, because life is very, very chaotic. It's a crazy, chaotic world that we live in. The other thing I just wanted to talk about today, because we're still dealing with all the smoke. Sorry, I keep coughing, but I was outside today with an N95 mask respirator because I was staining my deck. And the reason I took this on at this particular point was that little fire embers, if something catches on fire, will attach itself to the wood, but it'll also attach itself to the dirt and the leaves that get caught in between the slats of the wood. And so you take a power washer and you power wash everything. So you push all of that dirt and leaf debris through the slats and create some open spaces. So then you put the stain on it, and the stain will help protect the wood and seal the wood a little bit. And my decks are redwood, so they won't burn as easily, but you'd be amazed in our area how many houses burn down because the porch caught on fire, right? So I was trying to protect it, and then also just clear off everything off the porch and get rid of all of the stuff that we don't need, and get rid of all the flammable things like pillows and stuff like that. So that's what I've been doing. So that's my project for the day. It's taken me all morning with my N95 mask, sweating like a bullet, trying to put this together. And it needs 2 coats. So I've got 1 coat on it, and it's working, but it's going to need another coat. So thanks for listening. Bye.